Huo Xiao sensed something was wrong. He turned to look at Huo Xiao. The car was malfunctioning. Huo Zhang's hand was tightly gripping the steering wheel. His foot had already pressed the brake pedal to the floor and he had even pulled up the handbrake beside him, but it still had no effect. The brakes had failed. Huo Yang kept his gaze fixed ahead and said in a low voice to turn on the hazard lights and the right turn signal. Talk later. Liu Zia, who hung up the phone, was devastated. He's clearly back. Why lie to me? Undeniably. With his own sister around, Huo Tinger became arrogant. There were indeed quite a few vehicles ahead, seeming to notice the abnormality of their car. The cars in front kept honking their horns. Huo Yao reached out and turned the steering wheel to the right. The car tilted to the right, its tires screeching against the ground. The speed of the car decreased. The car directly rushed onto the sidewalk and crashed into a large tree, finally coming to a stop. The windshield shattered and fell off. The brothers guessed why the car malfunctioned. This big deceiver was at it again, not fooling others but harming his own people. Li Yu looked at the news and took out his phone to call Wei Yao. Concerned about whether they were all right and what exactly happened, Huo Yao calmly said they were fine, just some minor injuries. Then he briefly explained the brake failure. Just as he finished, Li Yu's voice came through, saying it looked like deliberate sabotage. Huo Yao raised an eyebrow and said he thought so too. Li Yu's eyes narrowed as he said Zhou Yun knew more about cars and he would ask him to take a look. Huo Yao took a deep breath for 2 seconds and agreed. Just as he looked up, he saw his parents hurriedly walking down the corridor on the other side. He told Min Yu on the phone that he had to go. Min Yu held the phone, lost in thought for a few seconds. He asked what kind of gift one should bring when visiting a patient. Yang Yi, passing by, was surprised and let out a confused sound. Song Ning's eyes were red as she tightly hugged her daughter, saying she had been scared to death. Huo Yao patted her mother's back, comforting her. Huo's father saw his daughter's right hand wrapped in gauze and quickly asked if the injury was serious. Huo Yao looked at her parents and her third brother, all wearing worried expressions, and shook her head. She said it was nothing, just a superficial cut from some glass shards, and it would heal in a few days. Songnain and Huo's father suddenly remembered they had a son too and quickly entered the hospital room. As they walked in, Huo Xing was just regaining consciousness. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw his parents' faces close to him. Back home, he wanted to chat with Huo Yao but felt dizzy, seeing her second brother constantly rubbing his head. Huo Yao asked concernedly, "Second brother, are you not feeling well?" The memory of the car accident instantly flashed before Huo Zhang's eyes. He quickly sat up, his expression changing dramatically. "Where's my sister?" Songning sat down on the edge of the bed and pointed to their daughter who had just walked in. "Your sister is fine." Hugh Shem looked at his unharmed sister and let out a sigh of relief. At the moment the car crashed into the tree, he thought something terrible was going to happen. Thank goodness, thank goodness. After feeling relieved, Hugh Xing suddenly felt guilty and scared. "It's all my fault for not noticing the car had a problem. If it weren't for my sister taking control of the car in time, I would have become a sinner today." Hugh Yulin asked in surprise. "Hugh Yao, you know how to drive? Aren't you not even 18 yet? Your driving skills are so good." Huo Yao, the big deceiver, claimed she only knew a little bit. She had learned about the principle of friction reducing speed in school and just applied it a bit. Huo Yulin looked at her silently, feeling like his sister might be deceiving him, but he had no proof. Hugh Jingyan had been frowning. How could the brakes suddenly fail? Didn't the brake pad warning system alert you? Wow, 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 finally meeting the parents. This man really had it all planned out. Hugh Xing leaned back against the headboard, sitting up straight. He shook his head and replied there was no warning at all. Even the handbrake didn't respond. Hearing this, Huo Yao knew that his father also suspected someone had tampered with the car. Once Tang Jai and Zhou Yun finished their inspection, they would know the exact situation at this moment. Huo Yao's WeChat notification sounded. He took out his phone and saw it was from the neighbor's little fatty. After reading the message, Huo Yao told everyone, "I'm going to the restroom." Watching his little sister's retreating figure, Huo Yuling was lost in thought. Just as she walked out the door, she saw Li Yu standing outside and felt like she was witnessing a large-scale targeted operation. Then he quickly pulled the door closed. Huo Yao, for once being kind, said, "It's a big crowded in there." Li Yu's gaze followed her movement and fell on her bandaged hand. His brow furrowed slightly. "Your hand is injured." Huo Tinger took off his glasses and said embarrassedly, "It's nothing, just an occupational hazard." When mental energy is consumed too much, hearing this, Huo Yao immediately went upstairs. I have an ointment specifically for external injuries. I'll get it for you when we go back. She was about to turn and leave. Huo Yao was about to politely decline. But when she met that person's deep eyes, her words instantly changed to, okay, that's good. At this moment, the door behind Hu Yao suddenly opened again, hearing the sound of the door opening behind her. Hu Yao immediately raised her hand to press her brow. So they still ended up meeting. Huo Yilin looked at Min Yu and asked, little sister. Who is this? Huo Yao inwardly sighed. She calmly introduced. This is my friend, the one living next door. You dad just happened to come see you. He was suddenly surprised and said, so you're Yao Yao's tutoring teacher. At the mention of orthopedic teacher, Min Yu raised an eyebrow and glanced at Hu Yao. Hu Yao coughed dryly. The orthopedic teacher joke was too good to let go now. Min Yu straightened up and said, yes, hello, Uncle Hu. Hu's father enthusiastically invited Min Yu not to stand outside, but to come in and sit for a while. Hu's father looked at Min Yu, feeling the surname was familiar. After pondering for 2 seconds, he asked, I wonder, what relation are you to old Master Min Jin? Min Yu replied with a slight apology. He's my grandfather, sorry for the trouble last time. Wu's father politely shook his head. Not at all, but I wonder how you and my daughter got to know each other. Min Yu seemed to have anticipated this question and replied without hesitation. I was recuperating in the countryside before, and we happened to meet there. Hu Yao brought over 2 glasses of water and placed them on the table. She glanced at her father and said, Dad, you're asking too many questions. Hearing this, Huo's father was shocked. His daughter was actually complaining about him for this Min Yu. Soon she handed her second brother a bottle of medicine, saying, this is a tonic for Kai and kidney, guaranteed to work. Is this old man really her biological father? He was won over by just one invitation. The old man lacks resolve. Min Yu cleared her throat and said, Uncle Hu, I heard from my grandfather that you like ancient books and paintings. In a few days, there's a special exhibition on ancient books and paintings at Chungqing Lane. My friend happened to give me an invitation. I'll bring it to you later. Huo's father pinched his hand, strongly suppressing his excitement. He coughed and said, this is too kind. Min Yu politely replied, no need to be so formal. Thus, Huo's father, now in a very good mood, looked at Min Yu with kindness all over. Indeed, to marry someone's daughter, you must first win over the father-in-law, Hu Yao, who had been silent on the side, looked at Min Yu with a complex expression. This was premeditated. The old man was bought over so quickly soon after. Min Yu politely declined Hu's father's dinner invitation and quickly stood up to leave. Hu's father said to his daughter, who was playing with her phone, Yao Yao, go see Min Yu off. Hu Yao, who was called out, paused, her hand holding the phone. She looked at her father with confusion. Huo Yilin turned his head to look at Huo Yao and said, I'll go. Little sister just had such a big accident today and was frightened. Let her rest more. After saying this, Huo Yilin nodded politely to Min Yu. Min Yu's eyes flickered, but she went along with his words and said, okay. Huo Yao looked at the door and suddenly felt a familiar routine from her third brother, walking out of the inpatient building. Huo Yilin stopped in his tracks, his eyes turned cold and his aura suddenly changed, becoming sharp. My sister and you are not from the same circle, stay away from her. Min Yu, facing Huo Yilin with his deep killing intent, didn't change her expression. She said calmly, I don't think so. The two silently stared at each other for a few seconds. Their aura is clashing in an invisible confrontation. Both are so handsome. Ah, Hoi Lin was the first to look away. He let out a proud snort and turned to walk back to the inpatient building. Min Yu raised an eyebrow slightly. This Hoi Lin is quite interesting. The news of Hoi Zhang's car accident was causing a stir online. In contrast, Huo Yao was very surprised. She had no expectations for this new family. The second brother held it, feeling better just from the smell of the medicine, so he eagerly took one pill. After taking the medicine, the second brother felt reborn. His head didn't hurt, his shoulders weren't heavy, and his limbs had strained. He could easily climb 5 floors without a problem. Now news of Hui Zhang's car accident is all over the internet. Some people in the company are eyeing the situation covetously. The assistant rushed in again, flustered, Brother Tom, it's bad. Someone is spreading rumors online saying Lucky had the car accident because of mental confusion. There are too many malicious fans setting the tone, and many fans are believing these rumors. Tom, you knew this matter needed to be resolved quickly. Otherwise, all kinds of rumors would come out. Sean Nan, passing by, saw Tan Yu leaving in a hurry. Sean Nan entered Jin Zunwan's office and immediately said, "Brother Yuan, I just saw Tan Yu leaving in a hurry. I don't know what he's up to." Jin Zunwan, hearing this, said with a hint of mockery, "What else could make him so nervous? It must be related to Lucky." Shannan held up her phone and said, "There's a lot of negative news about him online now. Brother Yuan, should we do something at this point? This woman is not just a top student, she's also an excellent driver, and her computer skills surpass even hackers." Jin Zanuan glanced at Shan Nan. Seeing through her thoughts, he shook his head and said, "This is enough to keep Tan Yu busy for a while. There's no need to add more fuel to the fire. Be patient. If Lucky is really injured, your chance to rise will come." Shang Nan's heart secretly leapt with joy, but her face still showed a worried expression. "But what about what I did before?" Jin Zanuan interrupted. "In the entertainment industry, isn't it easy to whitewash someone? Just focus on writing your songs. Your time will come eventually at the hospital." Tan Yu told them everything his detective friend had said. Huo Yao tilted her head towards him and asked, "You're saying the dash cam can't be recovered?" Tan Yu, while peeling fruits for the two siblings, said yes. The detective checked the dash cam of that car thoroughly and found that the records from a certain day 2 months ago were erased, but even their programmers couldn't restore it. Huo Yao said lazily, "Why don't you have your friend send over the dash cam? Maybe I can help recover it." Tang Yu listened silently, glancing at him twice. Then he picked up another apple and continued smiling. Turning to Huoxing, he said, "Huoxing, you should think about where your car was on October 13th. Huo Yao felt ignored for the first time. "I can't control it anymore. Let's party, shall we?" So he started dancing on the spot. The second brother's sudden change shocked Hayao. The car was either at the company or in the villa garage. Huoxing scratched his head. He was trying his best to remember but couldn't recall October 13. Tang Yu was visibly annoyed. "Look at you, you can't remember anything when it matters." Huo Yao looked at Tang Yu and said seriously again, "Brother Tang, seriously, ask your friend to send me the records. I can do it. Your friend can't recover it anyway." "Let me try. What if it works?" Tan Yu thought this made sense. It wouldn't hurt to try. He immediately took out his phone. "All right, I'll call my friend." Huo Yao added, "I also need a computer." Tan Yu hung up and said, "It can be transferred over. There's a computer in the car. I'll go get it. The file will be transferred soon." After Huo Yao unzipped and browsed the file, he said, "This copied data won't work. It's missing code. I need to remotely control your friend's computer. Ask him if it's convenient now." Tung hung up the phone. He had just started to say, "My friend says he'll send you a remote invitation right away." Before he finished speaking, he pressed the enter key to confirm. "Okay." Tung ran his hand through his hair. Somehow he felt that this remote control was different from the kind he understood. Great, the culprit who harmed the little princess was finally found. But who was this person? Such impressive remote operation. Not only Tung, but even the detective friend being controlled on the other end of the computer was completely baffled. It had only been 1 second since he hung up the phone. He hadn't even sent the remote access yet. The computer screen started jumping eerily on its own. Incomprehensible characters and code were constantly being written. Looking at the jumping characters on the computer screen, the programmer's eyes showed obvious shock. "Damn, this is a master." Just as he was shocked, the computer screen changed again. In the center were a few small words: data recovery and progress. In less than 20 seconds, the progress bar showed 100%. At this point, the computer returned to normal. There was also an additional video file on the desktop. Huo Yao's gaze remained fixed on the computer screen. Finding the normal playback speed too slow, he directly set it to 5x speed. Shouldn't he be a cold and elite lawyer? Did I prescribe the wrong medicine? Mom couldn't bear it anymore and angrily scolded. "Second son, what are you doing?" Seeing his parents, he immediately returned to normal. At this moment, Tan Yu didn't know how to describe his feelings. Were top students these days so versatile? Beside him, Wu Shang said proudly, "You should see whose sister she is." Tan Yu gave Wu Shang no face. "What are you proud of? You can't even remember where you parked your car 2 months ago." Soon, Hu Yao found the person who had tampered with the video. In the video, a tall, thin man wearing a baseball cap approached Hu Zhang's car. The time matched perfectly with the breakpoint in the car's dash cam. Hu Yao paused the video. "Do you know this person?" Hu Shang shook his head. "I don't know him." Tang Yu looked carefully for a while before speaking. "No impression. I'll send the video to my friend and ask him to check." Wu Yao agreed with Tang Yu. At this moment, his phone rang. It was Min Yu calling. Minyu said directly, I have some leads on your car issue. I'll have Yang Yi send you the information. Wu Yao covered the phone and said to Tang Yu, Brother Tang, no need to send it to your friend. My friend has already found out who it is. Huo Yao pulled Minyu, send it to me now, then hung up. Soon after, he received the information Minyu sent. Huo Yao opened the photo and handed it to Tan Yu. This is the person who damaged the brake pads. Tan Yu took the phone and looked at the face. It seemed familiar, like he had seen it somewhere before, but he couldn't remember where. Let me see, Huoxing leaned over when he saw the person in the photo. He was clearly shocked. How can it be him? Seeing his expression, Huo Yao asked, fourth brother, you know this person this time? He had thoroughly angered this man. He dared to openly challenge him. Then he explained, the medicine little sister gave me. After taking it, I feel so relaxed. Dad sternly said, that's no excuse to behave like this, twisting around like that. What if you scare your sister? Looking at the man in the video, Huo Xing recognized him as Xingnan's younger brother. Xingyang. Tan Yu suddenly remembered that he had heard Shangnan mention before that his brother worked at an auto repair shop. Shangnan had always been jealous of Hu Shang. If he was behind this plan, it would all make sense. Hu Shang suddenly rubbed his face and said, before I fell out with Shangnan, Shang Yang would occasionally come to our training room. He was quiet and had a shy, introverted personality. Later, when we became familiar, he even helped me a few times. Shang Yang admired Shang Nan the most, perhaps knowing that Shang Nan was always dissatisfied with me being the band leader. He used this extreme method. Huo Shang looked up and saw his sister looking at him with a puzzled expression as if pondering something. This gaze made Hu Shang a bit uneasy. After a while, Hu Yao spoke softly, fourth brother, someone as naive as you wouldn't survive even one episode in a TV drama. How on earth have you managed to survive in the entertainment industry? Huo Shang originally had many feelings to express, but hearing his sister's comment, he suddenly felt as wronged as a child. Is that supposed to be comforting? Huo Yu cleared his throat. Sister, send me this information. This matter now involves life safety. We absolutely cannot be lenient. Huo Yu suddenly thought of Huo Zhang's previous poisoning incident. Could it also be related to Xingnan? It probably wasn't the junior staff member Zaya Osu. Such a rare poison was not something they could access. Hung Yuan subconsciously chose to believe what he said. All right, I'll keep looking into it. You guys get some rest. I'll send the information to second brother. Let's discuss how to handle this situation. After reviewing the materials, Hu Tingray coldly said, this already constitutes premeditated murder. We should report it to the police directly. Tang Yu suggested, actually, we should give them one more chance. Let him turn himself in. Hu Tingray's gaze deepened. Trust me. Reporting it to the police and resolving this quickly is much better than waiting for him to come to his senses and turn himself in. After all, if he's in police custody, there's still room for reason, but if he falls into Uncle's hands, it won't be so easy. At this moment, the assistant outside knocked on the door. At this moment, Mom quickly came to Hu Yao's side and gently said, Yao Yao, your second brother has always been like this. He usually acts all proper, but he's actually quite mischievous. You'll get used to it. He quickly walked in, holding a letter. 5 Seconds Management Company has returned the lawyer's letter we sent them. They say that Miss Huo Yao's information is common knowledge and doesn't count as a violation of personal privacy. Huo Tinger leaned back in his chair, his glasses glinting as his eyes narrowed, revealing a sharp look. They're preparing to protect Wu now. Deliberately returning the lawyer's letter is clearly a provocation towards me. Better to be caught by the police than by Fei Dao's people. Otherwise, the consequences would be unthinkable. The assistant hesitated. I looked into this 5 seconds. He seems to have some connection with the Shen family in Beijing. His background is quite solid. So Wulu, should we reconsider suing 5 seconds? A wise man knows when to avoid trouble. Wu Tingray slammed his hands on the desk and shouted loudly, reconsider my ass since they want to bring out the Shen family. Then let the Shen family come and apologize to my sister. The assistant looked at his boss in shock. Oh no, Wulu is about to explode. If he knows what the Shen family said, who owed Tinger, seeing the assistant's hesitation, said, if you have something to say, just say it. The assistant cautiously asked, are you sure you want to hear it? Seeing his impatient look, he spoke very quickly. The Shen family told us not to be ignorant, to withdraw the lawsuit against 5 seconds. Otherwise, we should consider the consequences. The second brother suddenly asked, "Little sister, where did you get such amazing medicine?" At this moment, Huo Tinger emanated a faint, murderous aura. Ignorant, consider the consequences, looks like they have a thick skull. After a while, Huo Tinger waved for the assistant to leave. Huo Tinger pondered for a few seconds, took out his phone from his pocket, and sent out a WeChat message. Huo Tinger held his phone. Looking at Uncle Chingfeng's WeChat message, he really should show this to his assistant. To see what true arrogance looks like, Huat Chanzong found it strange and called Huo Tinger. "Why are you suddenly asking about the Shen family?" He explained, "It's nothing, just that my little sister's information was leaked online by that Shen cousin before. I just thought to ask about it." Huat Chanzong thought for a moment, although we don't have business dealings. They still need to be taught a lesson, by the way. Are you the one looking into the young master's car accident recently? Huo Tinger thought it might be fourth brother's manager investigating. The other party told him not to investigate, as there were other arrangements. Huo Tinger knew that Tan Yu's side probably wouldn't make it in time. The person who tampered with fourth brother's brakes had already been taken by Uncle Chanfeng's men an hour later. At a Bay Highway exit in the suburbs, Shan Nan's legs were trembling uncontrollably. "Where's my brother?" Looking at the fierce-looking men in front of him, Shan Nan guessed they might be gangsters. How did they get involved with them? With a glance from Hu Ode Chongfeng, two men grabbed Shang Nan's hands. He cried out in fear. "What are you doing?" The next second, he was pushed into the front passenger seat of a car. He hurriedly tried to push the door open, but it was locked and couldn't be opened. This car was a specially modified I-car. Unless the owner gave the command, the lock couldn't be opened. Shang Yang gripped the steering wheel with a hint of regret. "Brother, I'm sorry, I've implicated you." Shan Nan's throat tightened. He gritted his teeth and asked, "What do they want to do, fast and furious? Isn't it exciting to race with deaths?" Shan Yang, already somewhat desperate and numb, said, "They want us to experience the feeling of racing with death at this point." The car had already started automatically, speeding towards the Bay Highway. Hu Yao said somewhat awkwardly, "I know a friend who studies medicine. She couldn't say she was a medicine god. Could she? Dasha, do you know how many points that foreign girl in your family scored in the preliminary exam?" Dasha's best friend said with a worried face. "Out of 210 points, she actually scored 200 indifferently." Even though Shan Yang was gripping the steering wheel, he could only control the direction of the car. The brake under his foot was in a failed state. As they approached the first bend, the car's speed didn't decrease. They almost crashed through the guardrail, the feeling of imminent death nearly stopping their hearts. Meanwhile, Huat Chanfeng was watching a video on his phone. It was the video of Hu Xing and Huo Yao's car accident. He remembered that the young master's driving skills weren't great, but the emergency avoidance technique in the video was usually only seen in race car drivers. The assistant had heard this doubt at least 10 times. Maybe the danger triggered a survival instinct. Hu Ode Chanfeng couldn't figure it out and let it go. He told the assistant to keep an eye on the two in the car and let them out after 20 laps. The assistant was confused. "Wouldn't it be easier to just throw them in the seat to feed the fish?" "Manager, why are you making it so complicated?" Hu Ode Chanfeng threw a punch. "I've said we're in a civilized era now. We need to solve problems in a civilized way. That's civilized enough." 2 hours later, the car racing with death finally completed 20 laps and returned to the starting point. As soon as he got out of the car, Shan Nan's stomach was churning. He covered his belly and vomited miserably by the roadside. The guard had a spectator's expression. How was the feeling of brake failure? Shan Nan had regained his composure. He said through gritted teeth, "This is illegal behavior. I'm going to sue you." Shan Nan next to him quickly told his brother to stop talking, fearing that more words would lead to unknown consequences, so he confessed everything. The brake tampering was all his doing. It had nothing to do with his brother. He begged for his brother to be spared. Shan Nan looked at his brother in disbelief. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Shang Yang directly interrupted his brother. "When people do wrong, they must be punished. I almost lost my life. I admit my mistake." "You don't?" The assistant, watching this display of brotherly affection, couldn't help but clap. "Don't rush. One for intentional harm, one for spreading rumors online about the young master's mental condition causing the accident. Neither of you can escape." Shangnan still wanted to quibble, trying to completely distance himself from the online rumors. The assistant grabbed Shan Nan's chin with one hand, applying slight pressure with his fingertips. "I'm not negotiating with you, I'm stating facts. We all know who did what. This is a society governed by law. You should know what to do next. Don't force me to invite you here again." Shan Nan deeply regretted it. He shouldn't have felt unbalanced because Xiao Yang and Hu Xian got along well. He shouldn't have deliberately smeared Hu Xian. Lu Sha heard this and nervously broke her pen refill. 200 points. How is that possible? Something must be wrong. Now he had ruined both Xian and himself, but regret was useless now. So everyone, don't do bad things. Okay? An hour later, Xian voluntarily confessed on Weibo that the negative information about Hu Xian was his deliberate smear campaign. At this time, Hu Yao had already left the hospital and gotten into Min Yu's car. While driving, Min Yu glanced at her right hand. How's it healing? Who can refuse good food? And teacher Xiaomin Hu Shang about to eat? Heard footsteps and reached out. Lifting his head, his handsome face showed surprise. Chengfeng, Shuming, why are you here? Meanwhile, Hu Yao left the hospital and got into Min Yu's car while driving. Min Yu glanced at her right hand. How's it healing? Your ointment is very effective. The wound scabbed over in just one day. Where are we going to eat? It won't take too long. Will it? There's a Cantonese restaurant nearby. I've made a reservation in advance. We can eat as soon as we get there, don't worry. I've already arranged for the restaurant to send takeout to your fourth brother. He should be eating by now. I thought you said we were just passing by, Hu Yao said with a half smile, his excuse exposed. Min Yu remained calm. If you refused, wouldn't I lose face? How could I? Who could refuse good food? And teacher Xiao Min? I'll be away for a few days soon. If you encounter any problems, you can call me or go directly to Zhou Yun. Hu Yao responded with a sound. Soon after, they finished eating and returned to the hospital. Hu Yao waved to Min Yu, saying, "Be careful." Min Yu nodded. On the other side, her desk mate excitedly hugged Hu Yao. Oh my god, Su Jia, you're amazing, 200 points. Are you a genius? But at this moment, Hu Yao was a bit upset. That's not right. I made sure to answer all the questions correctly, hearing her say this. Only when he could no longer see her did he look away and drive off from the hospital. Hu Yao walked into the ground floor lobby of the inpatient department and pressed the up button for the elevator. After waiting for about a minute, the elevator dinged and the doors opened. Inside was a middle-aged man wearing a black coat. This person was none other than Hu Changfeng, who had been waiting upstairs for a long time without seeing the young miss return. When he saw Hu Yao standing at the door, Hu Changfeng's expression showed a moment of preciousness. Although at this moment he particularly wanted to say a few words to the young miss, the vibrating phone in his pocket restrained his impulse. Sighing with regret, Hu Changfeng stepped out of the elevator. As Hu Yao entered the elevator and the doors closed, she thoughtfully raised an eyebrow at the glimpse of that imposing figure retreating through the gap. The aura of this person was quite similar to those black-clothed men she had mistaken for debt collectors when she first returned home. They all had a thuggish air. Meanwhile, Hu Changfeng returned to the car. His assistant Chang Ming started the car and said, "General Manager, the plane is ready. We're just waiting for us to arrive." Hu Zhangfeng grunted softly, his gaze on the car window, suddenly thinking of something. He turned to look at his assistant. "When we get back, thoroughly investigate the young miss' previous information again for me." Hu Zhangfeng recalled the file he had seen before. The information on it was too ordinary and common, seeming to have a big difference from the image of the young miss he saw today. However, she did seem to have more potential to inherit the Huo family business than the other young masters. The Shen family's overseas business has been completely cut off. I've also instructed our branch companies here to withdraw all previous special orders we had with them. Those who dared to bully our young Mrs. subordinates, everyone is working hard to teach them a lesson. Hu Changfeng's gaze fell on the car window for a while. He then said, "It's necessary to make them deeply realize who they can't mess with." The celebrity sisters begged for forgiveness. Yili and Fan invited Huo de Lao to eat at his family's medicinal cuisine restaurant after school to try his new dishes. Then the two got into his car. Soon the car left Yizhang just as their car had left. A black sedan parked not far away slowly started up and followed behind them. Half an hour later at the restaurant, Yi Lionfin indeed had a talent for cooking. Since the last time he ate his medicinal cuisine, which was at an ordinary apprentice level. Her desk mate didn't know what to say. Perhaps this is what being speechless means. Just as Hoya was confused, the school broadcast sounded please. Today's meal had clearly reached a level where he could be considered a master. Hu Yao praised him a few times. Chen Shang, standing outside the private room listening, just snorted and walked away, unable to listen anymore. The little girl acted like she was nitpicking about the medicine in front of Yiran. Trying to attract attention, now in front of the young master, she wasn't nitpicking anymore and was directly praising. This kind of childish behavior and her little tricks to curry favor with the Yi family, only the Yi family couldn't see through it. At this moment, two young women came in, both were wearing sunglasses and masks. As if afraid of being recognized, Chen Xing was puzzled for a moment, then asked if the two would like to sit in a private room or the main hall for their meal. We're not here to eat, we're looking for someone. Wu Miao took off her sunglasses and said, a young student who came in 20 minutes ago, his surname is Huo, we're his friends and have some urgent business with him. Could you please take us to him? Chen hesitated a bit, but after looking at the two again, he nodded, follow me. When they reached the private room door, Chen asked them to wait outside. He went in and said to Hu Yao, Miss Hu, your friends are looking for you outside. Hu Yao glanced towards the door. The vertical bead curtain was still swaying slightly. He could clearly see the two people standing outside. After just one look, he calmly averted his gaze and said, I don't know them. An older man beside him frowned, looking at Chen Xiao with displeasure. Can you see we're eating? You have no manners at all. Chen sensed the old man's unhappiness and felt embarrassed. Knowing he had been abrupt, he explained in a low voice, I only came to ask because those two customers outside said they had urgent business. Because for 17 years, her adoptive parents never cared for her, but her birth mother's attitude instantly made her feel maternal love. Not only that, seeing this large villa before her and the luxurious decorations. Hayao come to the principal's office immediately. At this moment, Wu Miao, who was standing outside, couldn't wait any longer and walked in. She took off her mask and, ignoring everyone else, looked directly at Hu Yao. Her voice was urgent and loud. Hu Yao, don't pretend you don't know us. My cousin and I need to talk to you. Can we have a word in private? Yi Li Anfan frowned. He knew about the incident on Weibo recently. It was this person who had leaked Hu Yao's information. He didn't know how she had found them here. Before Hu Yao could speak, Yi Li Anfan said, I'm sorry, but this is a private gathering. Please don't disturb us. Wu Miao took a deep breath, suppressing her anxiety. She said to Yi Li Anfan Jr., I really need to talk to Hu Yao. Yi Lian Fan's voice was cold. Don't try to be familiar with me, we don't know each other. And if you really had something to discuss, any polite person would know to call first, not track someone down to where they're eating and disturb them. Wu Miao immediately became agitated. She bit her lip, then turned directly to Hu Yao. Hu Yao, I apologize. Okay, what I did online was wrong. I shouldn't have leaked your information. Please be magnanimous and forgive me and my cousin. Can you? Hu Yao put down his chopsticks and stood up from his chair. Let's talk outside. Don't disturb everyone here. He then looked at the old man and his mother, politely saying, I'm sorry, before walking out of the private room, seeing that Hu Yao was willing to talk privately. Wu Miao felt relieved and followed him. Wu Miao looked at Hu Yao in front of her. What exactly do you want us to do for you to leave us alone? I don't understand what you're talking about, Hu Yao said calmly. Wu Miao's eyes widened. She pointed at Hu Yao. Stop pretending. My cousin's family is being suppressed. You dare say it's not you? What have you done behind the scenes? The clever men returned home to visit their grandmother. Little sister, did that Shen Jie come to find you? He called me and said he was going to apologize to you. Huo Tingri's voice was sarcastic. Don't pay attention to him. People like that deserve to be taught a lesson. Hearing the last part about deserving to be taught a lesson, Huo Yao crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow, asking, so what exactly did you do to them that they're begging me to let them off? Huo Tingray coughed. Of course we went through legal channels. Have you forgotten your brother is a lawyer? Oh, Wu Yao dragged out this sound, clearly not quite believing it, by the way. As soon as she entered, the principal warmly greeted Hayao, saying, come, let me introduce you. I heard from fourth brother that you're planning to visit Grandma Yang after your exams. Yes, I've already booked the tickets. Wu Yao said firmly. Time flew by and soon half a month had passed. Third brother, why are you up so early? I'd like to see the place where my little sister grew up. Do you mind if I come along? Hu Yulin said with a smile. Hu Yao hesitated. Having one more person doesn't seem to be a problem, she nodded immediately. But can we still get tickets now, and won't you be too late to pack? It's good that you agree. Hu Yulin then stood up. Holding tickets and luggage in his hands, Hu Yao looked at her third brother with a complex expression, so this had been planned all along. To accompany her back to her hometown after getting off the plane, they quickly left the airport, pulling their suitcases towards a jeep not far away. A man was leaning against the jeep door, looking down at the ground as if sensing something. He suddenly looked up when he saw Huo Yuling. His eyes noticeably brightened, then his gaze swept over Hu Yao and a flash of excitement appeared in his eyes. Just as he was about to call out, Big Huo Yuling gave him a cold look, receiving this glance. Changming immediately changed his words. Let me take care of the big and small luggage, Mr. Huo, Miss Huo. Please get in the car first. And Huo Yao looked suspiciously at the rental car driver who had come to pick them up. The man's earlier expression seemed a bit strange, as if he knew her and her third brother. Seeing his sister's pensive expression, Huo Yuling called out, "Little sister." Huo Yao looked at Huo Yuling's face, pursed her lips, and shook her head. Soon they arrived at their grandmother's house. It's so cold outside. Didn't I tell you to wait inside? The old lady grabbed Huo Yao's arm and said, I just came out for 2 minutes. It's not cold. As they walked back to where the old lady lived, Huo Yao had already introduced Huo Yulin to her. These two are members of the Cultural and Educational Association. This is Mr. Tian Yi, the Secretary General of the City Association, and this is Mr. Zhao Lian. The three of them entered the courtyard one after another. Oh, by the way, Yao Yao. Xiaomin is back too, the old lady said just as they stepped into the courtyard. When Huo Yao heard the name Xiaomin, her cheek twitched. Min, who was walking behind the two, was Hu Yulin. He indeed narrowed his eyes. That brat from the Min family was also there. The undercurrents between third brother and the neighbor boy were surging. The old lady praised with a smile. Xiao Min is a good person. He's visited me several times since I came back. The house next door might be too dilapidated now, completely uninhabitable, so I let him stay at our place. It's fine if he stays. Third brother, sit for a while. I'll take the luggage upstairs, said Huo Yao as he carried the suitcase upstairs. At this moment, Miu followed the old lady from the kitchen at the back, both carrying dishes. Miu looked up and met Huo Yuling's gaze. Only she could understand the meaning in his sharp eyes. Min Chun smiled and politely greeted, third brother Huo is here. The old lady beside them smiled and glanced at the two, then waved her hand at Min Yu, indicating him not to be busy. She then went back to the kitchen to get bowls and chopsticks. Suddenly, only Min Yu and Huo Yuling were left in the room. Young Min really has good taste. Coming to such a place, Huo Yuling's voice was cold and indifferent. Min Yu's face still maintained a polite, jade-like warmth, just came to see the old lady. Just happened to choose the time when her sister came back to see the old lady. Neither of them spoke further. For a moment, the air fell into a mysteriously eerie silence. Huo Yao came down after putting away the luggage and immediately sensed that the atmosphere was a bit off. He raised his eyes and looked between the two, their expressions seeming normal. The old lady came in with bowls and chopsticks, calling everyone to eat, which finally dispelled the eerie atmosphere. After the meal, Huo Yao didn't let the old lady do it, but took the initiative to clear the dishes from the table and took them to the kitchen after cleaning up and returning to the living room. An honorary member of the General Association, Huo Yao politely said hello, but thought to herself, what does the Cultural and Educational Association have to do with me? Isn't that just a place for big shots in the education world? Wei Ya heard the old lady telling third brother about his past. She couldn't help but press her brow and interrupted. Grandma, where did you put my things from before? I put them all in the small house in the backyard. Go find them yourself, the old lady said, then turned back to chat with Huo Yulan. This child used to always read some strange books. Last year, she brought back a weird stove from somewhere. Whenever she had time, she would tinker with it. That thing was completely different from other high school students' hobbies. Hearing this, Huo Yulan recalled the equipment in that room at home and guessed it was probably a stove for refining medicine. He smiled and said, it's rare for young people to have hobbies. It's fine if she likes it. Huo Yao had been researching for 2 days. He finally figured out how to effectively refine the seven-leaf lotus. Whether it would succeed or not would depend on when the medicine ordered by those from Young Jijin arrived. At this moment, Hayao's phone rang, notifying him that a courier had arrived and asking him to pick it up. Just as he went downstairs, he saw Hoyuan returning with breakfast. Little sister, are you going out? Hoyuan asked, seeing he was about to leave. Hayao nodded, I have a package that's arrived. It's at the village entrance store. Huo Yuling looked outside, then handed him the hot breakfast. It's too cold outside. I'll go get it for you. I become familiar with this area these past 2 days. Huo Yao thought for a moment and then nodded. All right, soon, Huo Yulin arrived at the village entrance to pick up the package. Seeing the recipient name, Bald Little Baby, he straightened up. Although his sister usually seemed very steady, she was still quite mischievous in some aspects. The not and third brother's heart gradually loosened. His sister was ultimately different from that woman. After everyone was seated, the Secretary General said, Student Hu Yao, the problem-solving method you used in this exam is different from what the school currently teaches. Did you get guidance from a famous teacher? Are you looking for Grandma Yang? Her house is straight down this alley. When you see a house with walls covered in ivy, that's hers. Are you a relative of Grandma Yang? Hearing the question, Lu Shad tightened her hand and forced a smile, replying, a distant relative. Hu Yulan took in Lu Shad's every word and action. His lips curled coldly. Mountains and rivers may change, but one's nature is hard to alter. After so many years, you're still so hypocritical, you don't even dare to acknowledge your own grandmother. Lu Shad turned her head, and upon seeing Hu Yulan, she seemed suddenly frightened. Her hand loosened and her bag fell to the ground. Why was he here? Lu Shad took a deep breath and said, Third brother, when did you return to the country? Who allowed you to call me that? Have you forgotten how cruel you were? Hu Yulin's eyes flashed, his voice suddenly turning ice cold, hearing these words. Those forgotten memories in Lucia's mind began to surge forth frantically. She remembered being caught by someone when she was very young. The person held a knife, seeming to say they wanted to cut the flesh from her body piece by piece. She was terrified at the time. Coincidentally, this third brother of hers appeared when she was caught. He came to save her. The later memories were unclear. She only knew she had escaped. Lucia struggled to shake off the memories flooding her mind. Shaking her head and explaining incoherently, I'm sorry, I was scared back then too. I know I shouldn't have pushed you out, but I had no choice. I wanted to live too. Lucia bit her lip and continued, I was young at the time. I really shouldn't have, but it's been so many years. And besides, you're still standing here perfectly fine, aren't you? Huo Ulan's gaze suddenly changed, his voice devoid of any warmth. Wei Yao was stunned by the question and slowly said, No. Then she asked, Does the 10 points I lost have anything to do with this? The Secretary General, seeing that Wei Yao had immediately identified the issue, couldn't help but admire. What a sharp young girl, he continued. The back of his hand holding the box turned blue and fierce, as if he was trying hard to hold back something. Seeing this, Lu Sha shuddered in fear, clutched her bag tightly and ran away, not daring to stay a second longer. Huo Ulin watched her fleeing figure. So similar to the scene of her escape during the kidnapping years ago, after a while, he withdrew his gaze and walked unhurriedly towards the old lady's house. Just as he reached the courtyard gate, he saw Huo Yao coming out with an umbrella. Third brother, how did picking up a package take you so long? Little sister and Lu Sha were ultimately different. Huo Yulan stood outside the courtyard gate. He took out his phone and called Chain Main. Since when did Huo Yulan have such powerful connections? The receptionist had an apologetic look on her face. I'm sorry, miss, our hotel is having fire safety issues. We need to trouble you to check out. Don't worry, we'll refund double your room fee. Lu Sha arrived at the second hotel. The receptionist looked up at her, then handed back her ID card. I'm sorry, miss, all our rooms are full. At this point, even if Lu Sha was slow to react, she knew someone was maliciously preventing her from staying here. She didn't need to guess who it was, but since when did Huo Yuling have such powerful connections? Lu Sha stood on the street, her mind in chaos. She couldn't stay at a hotel, and Huo Yuling was at the old lady's place, so she couldn't go there either. What should she do next? Just then, a motorcycle sped by on the road. In the next instant, the rider grabbed her bag. Lu Sha stumbled but quickly grabbed the bag strap, not letting go. The motorcyclist seemed surprised he couldn't snatch the bag, tugging a few more times but failing to get it. Seeing passersby nearby and fearing getting caught, he gave up and quickly rode away. Nearby pedestrians hurried over to help Lu Sha up. Are you okay? This stretch of road often has motorcycle thieves. It's easy to get robbed like this. When Lu Sha fell, her sunglasses had come off, afraid of being recognized. She quickly pulled her hand back to cover her face. Yes, your answers were completely correct, but the solution method for the last two questions was beyond the syllabus, so points were deducted accordingly. After a pause, the person said, Did you lose anything? Do you want to call the police? As soon as Lu Sha heard called the police, she immediately shook her head. Her voice shrill and reaction exaggerated. No, don't call the police, although she no longer had a good reputation online and wasn't trending. If people found out she had fallen so low as to appear in such a small county town and almost got robbed, who knows how many netizens would laugh at her? She absolutely couldn't allow such a face-losing incident to happen again in the evening. After Huo Yuling received a message from Cheng Ming confirming he had boarded the return flight, she felt relieved. No matter what that woman intended by coming back, at least while she and her sister were still at grandmother's house, she wouldn't allow her to appear and ruin everyone's mood. Just then, there was a knock on the door from Hayao. As soon as he entered the room, he smelled sandalwood incense. His eyes flickered slightly. He had previously prescribed special Chinese medicine for his third brother's condition, along with acupuncture treatment. For some time now, he hadn't needed to rely on burning incense to sleep. Yet tonight, he suddenly lit it again. Clearly, he had something on his mind. Mind if we chat? Hayao looked at Hoyulin. Concerned in his delicate features, Hoyulin's hand tightened. But when he met his sister's clear eyes, he felt a strange sense of calm. His fingers relaxed and he nodded. Third brother, you don't seem to be in a good mood today. Did something happen? Or did you meet someone? The caring sister comforted her introverted brother. If third brother isn't the kind of normal person you imagine, would you be scared? Everyone thinks I'm suffering because of the kidnapping back then, but that's not entirely it. There was an indescribable emotion on Huo Yulan's pale face. Taking a breath, he suddenly looked at Huo Yao and said firmly, "If third brother isn't the kind of normal person you imagine, would you be scared?" Huo Yao noticed his change in emotion. Raising an eyebrow to break the heaviness and the air, he countered, "What if I'm not the sister you imagine? After all, reincarnation is something even science can't explain, right?" When Wei Yao learned the truth was like this, she nearly broke down on the spot. Is there any justice? No, one more means points are deducted. The honorary member, Professor Zhao, comforted her. International competitions don't consider syllabus limitations. Do you have the confidence for that? No matter how many secrets you have, you'll always be my dear sister, Hu Yulin answered sincerely. Hu Yao nodded, his voice a bit cheeky. So, third brother, that question you just asked was really subpar. I don't distrust you that much. After a brief silence, Hu Yulin smiled and pursed his lips. Hu Yao walked to his side and grabbed his arm, slowly spreading out his fingers. It was then that Hu Yao noticed his third brother's thumb joint was slightly deformed. With his thorough understanding of human anatomy, he knew this was caused by a fracture that had healed with a 12-degree misalignment after a couple of seconds. Hu Yao looked up at Hu Yuling and said, "Whatever happened to this hand in the past, it's now in the past. Why keep torturing yourself over it?" Hu Yuling lowered his gaze, his eyes fixed on his palm for a long time. The words he had originally wanted to say about sometimes feeling disgusted by this hand suddenly couldn't come out. In the end, it all turned into a soft M. Seeing that his expression was no longer as low as before, Hu Yao patted his palm. "Hang in there, third brother." He finished by tilting his head and winking at him. Hu Yulin was amused by his sister's actions and instinctively ruffled her hair. After a while, Hu Yao stopped disturbing his third brother's rest and left his room. Going downstairs, is little Hu resting so early tonight? The old lady looked up at Hu Yao and asked. He might have caught a slight cold from the morning breeze. The old lady stood up. "I'll go make him a bowl of ginger sugar tea to ward off the chill. You young people just don't take your health seriously." Just then, the old lady's phone on the coffee table rang. The old lady's phone volume was very loud, so it could be heard in the kitchen. Soon, the old lady's voice came, "Yao Yao, see who's calling, and answer it for Grandma." Hu O Yao responded, then pressed the answer button and put the phone to his ear. Soon, He Xiao Min's voice came through the connected call. "Mom, why did you let that girl come back to our house again? Do you know how badly our Lu family was hurt by their Huo family? Since you let that Huo Yao girl go back, why don't you let Xia in? After all, Xia is your own granddaughter." Turning her head, He Xiaomin glanced at her daughter who had just returned. Her hands were injured and her clothes and jacket were dirty. She had clearly suffered greatly. He Xiaomin was still saying something, but Hu Yao wasn't really listening. She only gathered one piece of information from her words. Liu Xiao had come back today. Third brother's unusual behavior today was because the old lady was brewing ginger sugar tea. The maid came over with a phone and asked Yao Yao who called, seeing it was her daughter's call. The Secretary General hadn't expected this honorary big shot to place such high hopes on a novice young girl. It was incredible. He was a biology professor at Sangyu University and had numerous resources in Beijing. The old lady then said in a muffled voice, "Xiaomen, do you need something from me?" Xiaomen coughed lightly and said, "Mom, what about that jade piece Dad left for Shishia? Now that the Liu family has had a change of fortune, I need that jade." Before Omen could finish, the old lady interrupted her directly in a deep voice. That's for Yao Yao. Hearing this, Omen immediately darkened her face. Mom, get it straight. Wei Yao is just an outsider. Why are you giving her such a valuable jade when the old lady heard the words valuable? She unconsciously frowned, then corrected. That jade is just ordinary, not valuable. How can it not be valuable? Forget it. You're just a country woman who doesn't know jade. Give me that piece of jade. I really need it. I won't give it to you. Give up on that idea, the old lady said, then hung up the phone directly. In the living room, Miu saw the old lady come out and stood up. But seeing her eyes were a bit red and her mood was obviously not good, she asked, Grandma, what's wrong? You can talk to me if something's bothering you. The old lady suddenly held Miu's hand. Xiaomi, I can see that Yao Yao trusts you quite a bit. In the future, if I'm not around, please take care of her for me. Miu's hands stiffened slightly, but she didn't pull away. She comforted. Grandma, you'll live to be 100. The old lady shook her head and let go. Oh right, Xiaomi, wait a moment, I'll get something for you. With that, the old lady went to her bedroom. Soon she came back with a box. After you go back, help me give this to Yao Yao. Why don't you give it to her yourself? If I give it to her, she definitely won't accept it, the old lady said dejectedly. After a while, she said again, this is her 18th birthday gift. Tell her to always keep it with her, just for good luck. Don't worry, I'll tell her. Hearing this, the old lady sighed lightly. It's late, go to bed now. All right, Grandma, you should rest early too. Don't think too much, Miu said. Holding the box soon, Miu took the box and went upstairs. When Wei Yao heard there were no restrictions in international competitions, she immediately became interested. Excitedly, she asked, Professor Zhao, are there many experts in international competitions? Will we encounter many interesting problems? However, just as she turned the corner at the top of the stairs, she saw someone lazily leaning against the wall. Who knows how long he had been standing there? Huo Yao raised an eyebrow. Give me the thing, I heard everything. Miu looked at him, seemingly not too surprised. Huo lazily hummed in response. Miu then placed the box in his palm. Huo said good night and left with the box. Grandma's treasures all left to you. On the plane, Huo took out the bank book Grandma had given her and flipped through it, thinking of what the old lady had said to her before she left. Yao Yao, this is a little savings that Grandma has put aside over the years, and the money you gave me before, I've saved it all for you. This is Grandma's wish, you must accept it. Just after getting off the plane, Miu received a call from Zhou Yun after walking out of the arrival gate. As she was about to speak to Huo Shao, Huo Yuling intervened between them. If you have something to do, go ahead, someone's coming to pick us up. Miu looked at Huo Yuling, just gave a faint smile and said goodbye. After she left, the coldness in Huo Yuling's eyes finally receded. Huo Yao took in all of her expression, raised an eyebrow and said, Third brother, you seem to have an issue with Miu. It's not that I have an issue, I just feel this person is a bit too cunning. After a pause, he added somewhat seriously, Little sister, you should be more careful in the future. After being thrown out, she chose to return to her birth parents, hoping to use her transmigration skills in medicine to help her parents out of poverty. She was even more shocked. Wasn't it said that her birth parents were poor? Wasn't my transmigration mission to help my parents become rich? Seeing Huo Yao's innocent look, Professor Zhao answered with satisfaction. Of course, Huo Yao felt like she had found a space to showcase her abilities. She could finally perform to her full potential. She couldn't help feeling confident again, but the happiest among them was still the principal. It seemed this year's international competition would be exciting. If they won a big award, the school's reputation would rise to a new level. Huo Yao vaguely responded to third brother, Let's go. Second brother is waiting in the parking lot. It was already 4 o'clock when they got home. Huo Tinger helped carry in the specialties that the old lady had specifically asked them to bring back. Then he prepared to go out to the company for a while. Huo Yao, thinking about third brother's matter, followed him out. Second brother, we met Lu Zia on our way back. Hearing this, Huo Tingui's brows unconsciously furrowed. Third brother met Lu Zia regarding the kidnapping case back then. Did Lu Sha do anything else besides abandoning third brother and running away? Huo Tinger sighed slightly. After third brother came back, he suffered from severe autism for those 2 years. I later asked uncle to investigate, and only then did I find out that those villains initially kidnapped Lu Sha, and third brother happened to run into it when he was trying to save her. She ran away after running away. She didn't mention a word to her family about third brother being kidnapped. So because of her complete silence, we missed the best time to rescue him. Although he finally rescued third brother, he was covered in injuries and barely clinging to life. When I learned the truth, 2 years had already passed since the kidnapping. I went to ask third brother, but he told me not to tell the family. He chose to bear everything himself. In fact, he had tentatively mentioned it in front of Big Brother, but he forgot that Big Brother has always doted on Liu Sha the most since childhood. Huo Yao remained silent for half a thought, then said, "Oh right, second brother. Was third brother's left thumb also injured in that kidnapping incident?" Hearing this, Huo Tingray turned to look at Huo Yao. No, he just had many injuries on his body. His hands weren't hurt. Huo Yao nodded. Having a general idea in her mind and didn't ask any more questions, Huo Tinger narrowed his eyes unintentionally. Has the third brother injured his hand? The caring sister gifts homemade ointment. The brother is overjoyed. Huo Yao, holding 2 large jars of ointment, went to find Huo Yulin, who was writing a research paper on her computer. Huo Yao placed the items on her desk. Huo Yulin's gaze fell on the 2 jars of ointment. This is scar-removing ointment. Apply it to the scars morning and night. After a month, they should fade. However, since your scars are old, it's hard to say if they can be completely removed. After all, everyone's skin is different. At the very least, they won't look as hideous as now. Without facing hideous scars, third brother's mental health might improve faster. She thought she was deliberately getting close to trick the old lady for money. Huo Yao fell silent for a moment. Huo Yulin swallowed and softly replied, "I understand, thank you, little sister. So that's why he's been rushing to his small room after meals these past few days. He must have been working on this scar-removing ointment." Huo Yulin felt warmth in her heart. Huo Yao raised her eyebrows. "No need for thanks. We're family, third brother. Carry on with your work. I won't disturb you anymore." With that, she walked out a few days ago. After learning about the past events from second brother Huo, she had someone investigate his overseas records. After reviewing the information, Huo Yao fell into deep thought. Third brother's records looked clean, seemingly without any anomalies. But given third brother's status, this level of normalcy was actually abnormal. Huo Yao glanced at him with slight interest. It seems her third brother is a little prince of secrets. Huo Yuling arranged the 2 jars of ointment together, took a photo, and posted it to her social media. "A surprise gift from my sister. Any suggestions for a return gift?" Looking at the vulgar suggestions from the Huo family's main branch, Huo Yuling pressed her brow in a headache. These weren't return gifts, they were bombs. No wonder her parents adamantly kept these people away from her sister. It was truly outrageous. Meanwhile, Hu Yao arrived at the neighboring villa. When Zhou Yun saw Hu Yao, he greeted her with a smile. "Miss Huo, you're here. You is still upstairs. Please have a seat. I'll get you some water." As Hu Yao passed by Yang Yi, she noticed several video windows on his computer screen. When grandmother was hospitalized, she needed day and night care. This day, the hospital director came to the ward to inquire about grandmother's medication situation. Likely surveillance footage from somewhere. Huo Yao sat on the sofa and took a small sip from the water glass. However, Yang Yi had just mentioned that his father went to that antique book and painting exhibition Min Yu talked about a while ago. At this moment, Min Yu came down from upstairs. His appearance was exquisite, dressed in a black coat that made him look cold and unparalleled. He walked up to Wei Yao and handed her an envelope. From the old man, Wei Yao didn't immediately take the envelope. Could it be that the swindling old man finally had a conscience? Huo bit her finger and tapped her knee. The poor soul finally couldn't resist the temptation. She reached out and took the envelope. It was thick and heavy. Her eyes instantly sparkled. "The old man is too kind. Take this back with you. Consider it a New Year's gift for the old man." Miu raised an eyebrow. "Don't I get one?" Wei Yao glanced at him. "Don't you have to buy New Year's gifts?" She put the envelope in her coat pocket. Hacker intrusion. Girl quickly breaks interference program. Someone is disrupting the exhibition hall surveillance. As soon as Yang Yi spoke, Zhou Yun instinctively looked at him and quickly walked over. "What's going on?" "The exhibition hall surveillance feed has stopped. Someone used a jammer," Yang Yi explained while his fingers moved rapidly on the keyboard. Wu Yao, standing nearby, frowned. "Is this the exhibition my father went to today? Am I reassured?" "Don't worry, Yang Yi's computer skills are excellent. Nothing will go wrong." "Still not working?" Zhou Yun urged again. Yang Yi dejectedly replied, "It's not working. The other party's computer skills are beyond mine. Unless it's a top 5 hacker on the list, it's hard to crack." At this point, Huo Yao directly spoke up. Give me the computer. The adoptive mother happened to witness this. Seeing the director, she anxiously exclaimed, "What's wrong? Has my mother's condition worsened?" "I'll try." Huo Yao took the computer from Yang Yi's hands, her fair, slender fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. "It's done," Huo Yao said calmly. The entire process took no more than 3 seconds. Yang Yi was stunned. Zhou Yun was also stunned. Min Yu beside them raised his eyebrows slightly, his eyes clearly showing something more as he looked at Huo Yao. So fast, Zhou Yun said this while specifically looking at Yang Yi. Huo Yao pondered about this interference signal. She quickly stood up and said to Minyu, "I'm heading home now. No need to see me out, you're busy." With that, Huo Yao strode towards the villa exit. Yang Yi relaxed entirely, rubbed his brow and said, "It's all good now, that's good." Zhou Yun also felt relieved. "I thought something big was about to happen. Fortunately, the interference was removed. I didn't expect Ms. Hu's computer skills to be so strong." After marveling, Zhou Yang looked at Yang Yi and said, "Brother Yang, I'm not saying this to be mean, but your world ranking of 7 seems a bit fake. Maybe you should consider some further training." Yang Yi pondered for a few seconds before answering. Based on Ms. Hu's decryption speed, she would likely rank at least in the top 3. If that's the case, could she be among the top 3 or 5 on your ranking list? Yang Yi verified, "I know something about most of the identities in the top 10 on the list. Only the top 3 are the most mysterious, especially the perennial number 1. While the challenges for the hacker ranking list were set by him, no one has passed them to date, although Miss Hu's skills today were indeed extraordinary. Yang Yi then remembered some time ago when he was trying to crack the ranking list challenges with his computer. She happened to see the running code on his computer screen and asked him what it was, so Yang Yi composed his thoughts and said confidently, "He's not on the hacker list." The director smiled and said, "No, we're just inquiring about what medication the old lady is using." Before the doctor could finish hearing about medication, she directly shouted at Hu Yao in exasperation, "You gave my mother folk medicine again." Meanwhile, Hu Yao returned home, looking at the computer in front of him, his fingers moved slightly. Zooming in infinitely on the flashing red dot on the satellite cloud map, he finally located it near the Chungqing Gallery. Hu Yao's eyes narrowed.